What if the most powerful military alliance in human history suddenly lost its most powerful member? That is not a hypothetical question anymore. Just today, President Donald Trump told reporters he is strongly considering pulling the United States out of NATO. He called the 77-year-old alliance a paper tiger and said the decision is, quote, beyond reconsideration. So today on Daily World, we answer the question the entire world is asking. What actually happens if the USA leaves NATO? First, let's understand what we're talking about. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was founded in 1949. It was created for one purpose, to make sure that what happened in World War II never happened again. Today, NATO has 32 member nations, spanning North America and Europe. Its most important rule is Article 5. Article 5 says, an attack on one member is an attack on all members. It has only ever been invoked once in history, after the September 11th attacks on the United States. That single rule has kept the peace in Europe for over 70 years. So why is this happening right now? The trigger is the ongoing U.S. war in Iran. Trump asked NATO allies to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. European allies said no. Spain closed its airspace to U.S. military planes heading to Iran. Italy denied landing rights to a U.S. aircraft. Trump saw this as a betrayal. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called NATO, quote, a one-way street. But European leaders pushed back hard. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer called NATO, quote, the single most effective military alliance the world has ever seen. Here is where it gets complicated. Can Trump actually pull the U.S. out of NATO? Legally, not easily. In 2023, the U.S. Congress passed a law that specifically prevents a president from withdrawing from NATO without a two-thirds Senate majority. Without the United States, Europe wakes up in a very different world. If the U.S. leaves, a security vacuum appears overnight. The United States provides roughly 70% of NATO's total military spending. It maintains tens of thousands of troops across Europe. Countries like Poland, the Baltic states, and Finland, which share borders with Russia, would be the most exposed. Building a European force would take decades. Ukraine would face perhaps the most immediate consequences. The United States has been the single largest supplier of military aid to Ukraine. Leaving NATO would not make America stronger. It would make America alone. Through NATO, the U.S. maintains military bases across Europe. Without those bases, U.S. bombers cannot reach targets halfway around the world without Allied support. America could lose influence and global market access. In geopolitics, when one power weakens, another always fills the space. If the U.S. exits, three players stand to gain the most. Russia, a U.S.-free NATO, is exactly what Putin has wanted. China, a fractured West, makes it easier for Beijing to expand its influence. The world is changing. Subscribe to this channel to stay ahead of the world's biggest stories, because you should not be the last to know.